Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Krishna Balarāma Jaya Krishna Balarāma Jaya Krishna Balarāma Jaya Krishna Balarāma Jaya Lalita Vishaka Jaya Radhesham. Lalita Vishaka Jaya Radhesham. Vishaka Jaya Radhesham. Vishaka Jaya Radhesham. Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Jayom Vishnu Pada Paramhamsa Parivajagacharya Stotaratata Śala-tośalakādikān Sabai Charanavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jayom Vishnu Pada Paramhamsa Parivajagacharya Stotaratata Śala-tośalakādikān Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishya Vrinda Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories of the assembled devotees. All glories of the assembled devotees. All glories of the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritta Naram Caiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirye Nastaprayesha Babadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. So today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 36, and we'll read verses 20 through 24. Do you want to do the Sanskrit for all of them or just the English and then just a translation? Last one. Okay. So we'll read the translations of verses 20, 21, 22, 23, and then we will recite 24 in full. The title of the chapter again is The Slaying of Arishta, the Bull Demon. Verse number 20. After Nārada left, King Kaṁsa summoned Keśī and ordered him, "Go kill Rāma and Kṛṣṇa." Text 21. Purport. Before having Krishna and Balarāma brought to Mathurā, Kaṁsa tried sending one more demon to Vrindavan. Text 21. The king of Bhojas next called for his ministers, headed by muṣṭika-cāṇūra, śala and tośala, and also for his elephant keepers. The king addressed them as follows. Text 22 and 23. My dear heroic Cāṇūra and Muṣṭika, please hear this. Rāma and Kṛṣṇa, the sons of Anaklundubi, Vasudeva, are living in Nanda's cowherd village. It has predicted that these 2 boys will be the cause of my death. When they are brought here, kill them on the pretext of engaging them in a wrestling match. Now, 24, so we'll recite 24 and do the word for word, translation and purport. Manchaha kriyantam vivida Maya ranga parishritaha Paura jana padaha sarve Pashyantu swaira samyugam Manchaha kriyantam vivida Mala ranga parishritaha Paura jana padaha sarve Pashyantu swaira samyugam Manchaha kriyantam vividha Mala ranga parishritaha Paura jana padaha sarve Pashyantu swaira samyugam. Repeat. Mala ranga parishritaha Paura jana padaha sarve Pashyantu swaira samyugam. Pashyantu swaira samyugam. Manchaha kriyantam mala Mala ranga parishritaha Paura jana pada sarve Pashyantu swaira. Right. Vaishnavis? Manchaha kriyantam vivida Manchaha kriyantam vivida Mala ranga parishritaha Paura jana pada sarve Pashyantu swaira samyugam. Manchaha, stages, kriyantam, should be built, vividha, various, mala ranga, a wrestling ring, parishritaha, surrounding, pauraha, the residents of the city, janapada, the residents of the outlying districts, sarve, all, pashyantu, should see, swaira, voluntary participated in, samyugam, the competition. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada. Śrīla Prabhupada ki. Erecting a wrestling ring with many surrounding viewing stands and bringing all the residents of the city and the outlying districts to see the open competition. Please repeat. Erect a wrestling ring with many surrounding viewing stands and bring all the residents of the city and the outlying districts to see the open competition. Purport. The word manchaha refers to platforms constructed with large pillars. Kaṁsa wanted a festive atmosphere so that Krishna and Balarāma would not be afraid to come. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantigam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshra Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you for this opportunity for my own purification to try to glorify this most wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'd like to beg the blessings of all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis here, so that you may bless me, so that I have some thing of value to repeat from what I've heard from others. So we are nearing the end of Krishna's Vraja Leela, and a lot has transpired in this time. And in the prior verse to what we read, Nārada Muni is stirring the pot. This is a famous activity of Nārada Muni. You know, he stirred the pot very early in this canto by informing Kaṁsa that he should not wait for the 8th child. Better to be safe than sorry in that way. And he just recently stirred the pot by informing that Krishna and Balarāma are actually in Vrindavan. And that is who is going to be your destroyer. And so he has summoned, Keśī demon in the first verse that we read to go and try to kill Krishna. So Nārada Muni plays this very beautiful role in stirring the pot of these leelas for the purpose of bestowing benedictions upon all of us. One of my favorite Nārada Muni pot stirring pastimes takes place in Kurukshetra, when the residents of Dwarka went to observe the solar eclipse, and the residents of Vrindavan, being so longly separated from their Lord, decided to also attend Kurukshetra, thinking that that Krishna and Balarāma and those from the Dwarka dynasty would be coming to Kurukshetra. And so we know there was this great sangha after long periods of separation. And then particularly the queens of Dwarka, they were anxious to know, what is it that happened in Vrindavan? Because as we are serving Krishna in these opulent palaces with all these servants, when Krishna is sleeping, he is always thinking about Vrindavan. And in his dreams, he is saying, "Oh Radhe, oh Vraja, oh Gopas," like this. And so the queens of Dwarka wanted to understand these glorious pastimes. So we know they requested Mother Rohini, that you please tell us what has happened in Vrindavan that is so captivating to Krishna, that despite everything we are serving with, his heart is still there. And they were wanting to hear, not out of envy, but out of trying to understand and relish the sweetness, and also as a mood to potentially enhance their own service. So they, established one, facility But they had to be very careful, of course, that Krishna and Balarāma would not come to this sangha where Mother Rohini was relaying these pastimes, because it would disturb the whole event. And so they asked Mother Subhadra to stand outside and say, you keep guard of this tent while we hear these pastimes. It's your brothers, you don't need to hear these from Mother Rohini. You already know all these. So she, somewhat reluctantly, was standing outside, waiting guard. But hours and hours were elapsing, and not a sound was emerging from this tent. And everybody was just in rapt attention, trying to hear what was happening. And so Mother Subhadra is thinking, what is so sweet that everybody is just captivated? So she puts one ear to a small hole she found in a tent. Now she had one assignment. Make sure Krishna and Balarāma don't show up. That was her only assignment. But as she started to hear these sweet pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan, of Lord Balarāma and Vrindavan, she went into ecstasy. And here comes Krishna and Balarāma walking down the path saying, some new tent has been established. What's happening here? Let us go see Balarāma. And so they approach this tent and they see Mother Subhadra and they tap her on her shoulder. Mother said, what's going on? She's like, shh, quiet, I'm listening. Totally forgetting what she's supposed to be doing. And so they're saying, what's so interesting that she's telling us quiet, not receiving us nicely? So Balaramji goes on one side of Mother Subhadra, Krishna goes on the other side. They found two more holes and they begin to hear. And they're hearing and hearing, and they're going into complete ecstasy. So much ecstasy that their eyes become like fully open. Their limbs are withdrawing within their body. And of course, anytime anything spectacular is happening, who comes? Nārada Muni. So Nārada Muni is flying over and he sees this sight. What are Krishna and Balarāma, Mother Subhadra doing? So he descends there and he says to Krishna and Balarāma, what are you guys doing? What are you hearing? And first they say, shh, shh, quiet. But then they realize somebody else has come. And so they emerge. And Krishna, being a little bit embarrassed, he says, okay, Nārada Muni, you have seen this very ecstatic mood of us. We are hearing something very sweet that was giving us pleasure. But this is a very confidential darshan you have had. So please do not tell with anybody. You didn't take any selfies, right? You followed the sign here, no selfies? Okay, good, good, good. Thank you. So I want to offer you some benediction. So I want to offer you a benediction that you don't tell this to anybody. In return, I'll give you whatever you like. So Nārada Muni says, okay, why Krishna is being so secretive with this special darshan? So Nārada Muni says, okay, and he's asked for his benediction. And Nārada Muni says, okay, promise to me you won't tell anybody. You will give me the benediction. Krishna says, I've given you so many benedictions. Why do I need to promise? He says, just promise me. He says, okay, promise me. So Nārada Muni then says, okay, my benediction is that I wish that the whole of the universe has this darshan that I just had. And that is how Lord Jagannath ultimately manifested for all of our eyes. Lord Jagannath, Balarāma, Subhadra Mai ki. Yeah. And so it is by the mercy of Nārada Muni that actually we have darshan of Lord Jagannath, Master of the universe. And so this is Nārada Muni's role. He stirs the pot. He churns these pastimes for the blessings of all of us. So back to this section of Srimad Bhagavatam where we're studying, Nārada Muni is eager to move to the Mathurā Lila and then to the Dwarka Lila. And so he is accelerating that process by informing Kaṁsa of this situation. So we'll talk today a little bit about the demon Keśī and the instructions we get from this pastime, and also how to practically apply it to us, reading from a verse from Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna gives us a very wonderful way to understand that. And then finally, time permitting, we'll discuss a little bit about Kaṁsa's endless perseverance of trying to kill Krishna and what it means for the materially conditioned mind. So let us discuss these three things, and hopefully we'll have some good time for some questions and answers discussion afterwards. So I said the last time I had an opportunity to speak here, our greatest misfortune. We go to the Lord and we present so many misfortunes we have. Please solve this. Please help me with this. Please, this is my long list of misfortunes. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells us in Shikshastakam, our only real misfortune is no taste for chanting of the holy names of the Lord. We are lacking this intense taste. It is this intense greed and taste for chanting of the holy names that propels us in devotional service, that can take us to the highest realms of bhakti, ultimately to Krishna prema, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells us this is the greatest thing one can achieve or accomplish in one's life, is the awakening of Krishna prema. So it takes this intense taste and attraction for the holy names. And that is our misfortune, at least speaking for myself. We can gauge our taste by, we have this quota for chanting. So we say we'll chant a minimum of 16 rounds. But is that our minimum or is it our maximum? But for many of us, it's actually both. It's our minimum and our maximum. We use the same, I finished my rounds today. That's indicating we are still in this beginning process, this Vaidhi process of executing sadhana bhakti so that we can come to this intense attachment. But that's what it takes to really propel ourselves deep into these pastimes, particularly that are being discussed here in the 10th canto. And so the journey to Krishna prema, we know it's these 9 steps to Krishna prema. And there's kind of one we can say inflection point in that journey. And that's the 4th step, which is this freeing from all the anarthas. When we purify the heart of all the anarthas, then we can become fixed in this chanting, fixed in the pastimes of the Lord, this nishta stage. And from there, this ashakti, this attachment, this addiction, and this taste, ruchi comes, and then bhava and prema. So this anartha nivritti is like opening the floodgates. And it's a very arduous process. So how to remove the impurities of the heart? What is the solution? So that Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives us some great instructions in the Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita. Often when we are reading 10th canto, we skip some pastimes. We skip some of these demon pastimes, and we want to get to the pastimes of Krishna going to the forest, or Mother Yashoda binding Krishna, or even to the Rasa Lila. We want to go to these sweet pastimes, and we sometimes skim through these demon pastimes. But actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur tells us that these are actually very, very important for us. So he explains in the Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita that there are 2 types of activities of Krishna. There is his Nitya Leelas, this Ashtakaliya Leela. These are happening repeatedly in Goloka Vrindavan. Also when in Bhumi Vrindavan, when he comes here to Vrindavan. But when he comes here on the earthly planet to perform his pastime, he also adds these occasional pastimes, these naimittika pastimes. And these naimittika pastimes, they don't happen directly in the spiritual world. They happen indirectly, but they directly manifest here in Bhumi Vrindavan. And what are these pastimes, he explains? These are the pastimes of the killing of the demons, of him going from Vrindavan to Mathurā and on to Dwarka. These pastimes that don't happen in the spiritual world. And he tells us that these pastimes are extraordinarily important for us, because studying these pastimes is what purifies the heart, frees us from these anarthas, so that we can develop this required greed and extreme enthusiasm to then be able to relish these other pastimes, these astakaliya pastimes, these eternal pastimes going on. So it is actually through the study and application of these, demon pastimes that we can purify the heart and remove these anarthas, so that we can then truly relish the deep taste of these other pastimes that we are trying to relish today. So we must approach this 10th canto understanding that. And so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving us great instruction. And he gives us a nice little detail, something I read recently that I didn't know, so I want to share. Maybe you all know already. But we know in these demons, some of the demons are killed by Krishna, and some of them are killed by Lord Balarāma. So in each of these demons, there is a specific anartha or impurity that is exemplified by this demon. And by studying this pastime, we can pray to remove that demon within all of us. So we may make fun and have enjoyment of these, different demons, but we should know that they're all residing, at least in my heart, maybe not all of yours. But these are the anarthas that are present here. So each demon, he gives a specific anartha that it represents. And he explains, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that when Krishna kills the demon, that anartha can only be removed by Krishna. So that we must beg and pray with great sincerity to Krishna that please remove this anartha from my heart. And the demons that Lord Balarāma kills, he says, that we must extract from our heart. So the demons and the anarthas that are represented by those demons that Lord Balarāma kills, we must work to. But of course we know, what can we do on our own? Nothing. So in a very humble mood, we beg to Lord Balarāma and Lord Krishna to help us in removal. But this dynamic presents itself. So Krishna's past killing of demons, Krishna only can remove them. With Balarāma's demons that he killed, we have to put forth that effort to remove them. So of course in the Keśī demon we know that Krishna killed the Keśī demon. So we'll discuss that now. So what anartha is represented by Keśī demon? It is the pride of feeling like one is an advanced devotee, that one is a great acharya. So this pride that is associated with the feeling of being, I'm a very advanced devotee. This is the anartha represented by the Keśī demon. And so in the next chapter, you'll have in the coming weeks a great discussion of how Krishna kills this Keśī demon. So I won't go into too much detail, but I read one thing that I found very amusing from Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. And we know that Keśī demon approaches and attacks Krishna, and he quickly throws him by his hind leg 600 feet away. It's almost 200 meters, quite a distance. And so Keśī demon wakes himself up and he gears himself ready to charge again. And so Krishna shows him his thumb and says, "Oh demon, you want something to eat? Eat this." And he sticks his hand in the mouth of Keśī and kills him. So again, you'll discuss this in more detail in the coming weeks. But so the killing of Keśī demon takes place, and then the killing of Yomasura, and then Krishna will carry forward to Mathurā, being brought by Akrura. So this will unfold in the coming weeks. So this killing of Keśī and killing this pride of feeling advanced in our devotional service, this is very, very important for us. When we first start in Krishna consciousness and devotional life, it's very easy to be humble. We don't know what to do. We don't know. Somebody gives us water to offer to Tulsi. Am I supposed to drink that water? Am I supposed to wash that hand? Am I supposed to put it in the... We don't know. So what do? We ask, we follow, we open our minds. Someone's offering obeisance, we're wondering, what are they doing? And I was wondering too, am I supposed to kiss the floor? I wasn't sure what was happening. So such foolishness exists. And so, in the beginning stages, it's easy for us to express our humility, to express our ignorance. But as we progress in devotional service, sometimes this tendency becomes that, oh, I got it now. I know it. But actually, as we progress in devotional service, what should unfold is a stark and more clear realization of how tiny and how infinitesimal of a spark we are in the service to the Supreme Lord. When we see the great acharyas in our lineage and we see their mood of humility and yet how advanced they are, it should inspire us that, when we feel, oh, I've made some progress, just look at the pastimes of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, of Jiva Goswami, of Narottam Das Thakur, of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, on and on. We can see amazing qualities of humility. And it gives us a reminder that this is our great opportunity to kill this demon of Keśī that's living within all of us. This feeling that I have arrived, that I have accomplished something. But in fact, the more we progress in devotional service, actually the more humble we should become, because the more we realize how dependent we are on the Supreme Lord and how tiny of a spark we are. And so Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita gives us a very practical way to apply this in our day-to-day approach to service. So I wanted to discuss this, and coincidentally, and this verse was just discussed in the evening Bhagavad Gita series a couple days ago. And this is the 33rd verse of the 11th chapter. And it's a very sweet verse. It's one of my favorite verses in Bhagavad Gita. And it gives us a practical way of how we can build this mood of humility as we practice and render our service. And as we advance in bhakti, how to remain humble. And so Krishna tells Arjuna in this 33rd verse, he tells Arjuna that you should act and perform the fighting in the battlefield. Though Arjuna has already seen all the opponents being smashed by the teeth of the Virat-rupa. And Krishna is told in the prior verse, the 32nd verse, that all of them have already been killed. But I want you to take the credit. So Krishna tells Arjuna in this two very important things. Well, three things. First, he says that you should work according to my plan, or according to my arrangement. And two, he says that you should take the credit, that you should be the cause, though it's already been done. And finally, he refers to Arjuna as Savyasachin. So let's discuss all three of these. So the first point is that we have to recognize that Krishna's plan is supreme. It is the only plan that exists in this world. We were discussing a little bit about this last night. When do we have stress and anxiety? When we have a plan that's separate from Krishna's plan. Because our plan is going to fail. It is Krishna's plan that is going to work. So how to remove stress and anxiety? Simply remove our plans or make our plan Krishna's plan. And in that way we'll be successful. Because it is Krishna's plan ultimately that is perfect and that will reign supreme. And so Krishna, when we have big problems, sometimes in temple, in Prabhuji in management, you face some big problems. We wonder, and it creates some stress and anxiety. And I'm sure we all have, different problems we encounter. And but we should remember, those are Krishna's problems. He is the supreme controller. If they're to be fixed, He is going to fix them. It is under His plan that situation will be fixed. So we should take very strong faith in that understanding, that it is Krishna's plan that's going to fix it. But in having strong faith in that statement, one tendency emerges. Well, then I should just sit back and do nothing. It's Krishna's plan. Krishna will fix it. No. Krishna tells Arjuna that you should fight enthusiastically. Bhagavad Gita, he says, Vigata Jvara. You should fight without lethargy. Even though it's my plan, even though they've already been put to death by my arrangement, you should fight enthusiastically. And so we should understand when Krishna says the specific word, he says is nimitta patram. He says that you should be the cause. And Srila Prabhupada uses a very beautiful word in the translation, that if we hold in our heart, will allow us to remain humble despite whatever we can achieve in devotional service. It's a very powerful word. And he says that you should be an instrument in Krishna's plan. Now let us unpack this word instrument. What is an instrument? I have a pen. A pen is a writing instrument. We have a knife. A knife is an instrument to perform a life-saving surgery. We have these speakers. The speaker is an instrument to carry sound. If a very skilled writer is composing some great literature, does the pen become proud that I have created some great literature? No. If the speaker system is carrying some great melodious sound of kirtan, does the speaker system become proud that it is carrying this great sound? No. It is an instrument. It is not the doer. So if we keep putting ourselves in that position that we are an instrument in Krishna's plan, we are being moved by the desire and sanction of the Lord, then it is easier for us to remain humble. Because Krishna calls Arjuna in this verse, Savyasachin. It means he's very skilled. Specifically, it means he can shoot arrows both left-handed and right-handed. He is ambidextrous. He can shoot arrows with both hands. And so Krishna is calling out Arjuna's skill. It's very important that when we are working under Krishna's plan and trying to be humble in that approach, it doesn't mean that we then, don't utilize the skills we have. Whatever skills we have in service, we should use them to the fullest. We should use them in full sincerity, to the best of our capabilities. But understand where those skills came from. They came from Krishna. They were bestowed upon us due to his great causeless mercy. And so the great devotee, whatever skills they have, they don't suppress them thinking, oh, let me be humble. No, they use them. And they use them in Krishna's service. But they give credit always to the Lord Krishna. Srila Prabhupada in Surat was once asked in a class. He was asked by his devotee, Srila Prabhupada, you're beautiful. Are you a Paramahamsa? And Srila Prabhupada replied, I am more fallen than all of you. And Srila Prabhupada said, and the devotee said, no, Srila Prabhupada, you're amazing. You must be a Paramahamsa. And he said, I am more fallen than all of you. Whatever you are seeing, I'm paraphrasing now, whatever you are seeing, it is happening only by the desire of my spiritual master, of my beloved Gurudev. I am completely incapable of doing anything. But it is because of his desire, something nice is manifesting. And Srila Prabhupada shows us this mood of how to be an instrument in Krishna's plan. And so if we hold this consciousness of this instrument in our hands, then we may go on to perform extraordinary things in devotional service, yet destroy and keep away the Keśī demon of this pride of feeling like I've become some great devotee or acharya. And so that is our opportunity in studying this pastime and connecting it back to this verse of how to make progress in devotional service. Nārada Muni, in this, there's a conversation between Nārada Muni and Krishna when Nārada Muni is telling Krishna that he should go to Mathurā. And Krishna says in a very sweet way, this is again a commentary from Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. He says, who are you to tell me what to do? I am the controller. It is by my will whether I'll go to Mathurā or not. And so Nārada Muni says, you are the Paramatma sitting in my heart. If I am speaking, you are the inspiration for that thought. Right? Sarvasya chaha mridishani vishto matashmatir ganam apohanam cha. He says, you are in my heart. So whatever I'm speaking, you are the... So again, Nārada Muni is showing, who is the doer? It is Krishna. And we'll see this common trait through all of our great acharyas. So let us pray to Srila Prabhupada and to Srimad Bhagavatam in this pastime that we'll be studying in the coming weeks, that we can destroy this pride and always remember an instrument is just an instrument, but it can be a great instrument and it should be used in devotional service. So I'll just spend a couple minutes on the last few verses that we discussed. Kaṁsa is creating some contingency plans, right? We might wonder, if he's telling Keśī to kill Rāma and Kṛṣṇa, why he needs to then give subsequent orders to the wrestlers and to the elephant keepers, So we know that Kaṁsa has some experience here. It's been almost a little over a decade now where Kaṁsa has been sending demon after demon after demon trying to kill Krishna, and nothing has happened. Actually, there's a very sweet... just a quick reference. In verse 20, it's interesting, very poetic in what, how Krishna is referenced. Krishna's reference in this verse is Keśava. So he's telling, go kill Rāma and Kṛṣṇa, but he's referring to Krishna as Kesha, which means the killer of the Keśī demon. So in indirect, he's being told, you're going to be killed by Krishna. But anyways, that's an aside. So we see that Kaṁsa is very persistent. And in one way, persistence is good, right? To be determined, to overcome obstacles. But we must be persistent in the right aims, right? If I want to be persistent in trying to overcome gravity, it is a fruitless effort of persistence. It will never happen because that is a universal law that is present here. I cannot overcome it. Similarly, Kaṁsa's persistence in trying to kill Krishna, it is fruitless. It will never happen. Our persistence in trying to concentrate the mind in chanting of the holy names, that will happen, though it may seem difficult. And that requires persistence. So persistence should be applied appropriately where there is an opportunity to achieve the outcomes. And that is in our practice of devotional service. So Kaṁsa, is very foolish here because he keeps trying and he keeps trying. And it's not like as if any of these demons were close to killing Krishna, that it should be. You would think how easily Krishna has disposed of all of these demons, Kaṁsa would get the point. And this carries forward even after this great arrangement of this wrestling match, and he's not, killed by this the wild elephant. And then Krishna and Balarāma engage in this wrestling match, and still they are not destroyed, and very easily subdues these two, giant wrestlers. And after that, what does he say? Okay, I'm ready to surrender. I give up. No, he says, arrest them, arrest Nanda Maharaj, kill Vasudevji. This is the blindness that we face when we are not in a spiritual life. Material consciousness is so overwhelming that it takes away all of our intelligence. If Kaṁsa had just stepped back for one moment and objectively analyzed what were the prospects of me being successful here, he would have quickly realized no chance, and he could have saved himself. But instead, we know what comes forth, and he perishes. And so this is, again, the brief discussion of Kaṁsa. There were short purports here, so please forgive me for taking the conversation in a couple of different directions, but I felt it gave me some opportunity to also take some liberties. So again, we study these pastimes of these demons as the opportunity to purify the heart so that we can relish these other very, very beautiful pastimes that are present in this 10th chapter. So we should not gloss over them, but we should study them very sincerely and bring about the mood to remove these anarthas. Every demon has a specific anartha that is present within us. And if we do so, we can then reach these highest stages of devotional service and fulfill the strongest desire of our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, who struggled endlessly to present these books, to establish temples, to teach us how to achieve this great potential within all of us to awaken this Krishna prema. So thank you very much. Please forgive me if I misspoke anything. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any discussion we can have? Any comments, reflections, corrections? Anything we can have some discussion? We have some time. Yes, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
When we see the character of Nārada when we just started off, we tend to see things very closely, what's happening, and we normally misjudge the Vaishnavas or we do aparat towards them. So what is the best way to, even if because of a conditioned mind, we're able to, not able to see the higher picture. How do we overcome this? What steps should we take so that we don't judge any Vaishnavas like this?
Yeah, it's a nice question. So, the Vaishnava sees themselves as the most unqualified and most insignificant person in the assembly of any devotees. There's a sweet pastime of Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was bestowed the name, the title Namacharya, the Acharya of the holy names. In the pastime of Advaitacharya, performing the Pinda ceremony, we know the prasad is first offered to the most qualified brahmana. And amongst all the assembled brahmanas, who did Advaitacharya offer first? To Haridas Thakur. So Haridas Thakur was the most qualified. Yet when he was sitting outside the garden in which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the associates were enjoying wonderful prasadam under the trees of Lord Jagannath and relishing in sweet ways, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was calling out, Haridas, Haridas, come and join us. He was being invited by Haridas, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. And what did he say? I am unqualified. I am most fallen. And so he stayed outside this garden. How anxious we would be part of this great Sangha, enjoying wonderful lavish prasadam coming from the hands of the Supreme Lord himself. We would race. But Haridas Thakur, that I am most fallen. And so this is the mood. And if we study these great acharyas, we'll see how they approach these situations and we bring them into our life. We study these pastimes not for entertainment, but for deep instruction about how we should approach it. So when we observe other devotees, we should not be, we don't need to be the judge of whether they're elevated or not and report to Krishna. He's sitting in their heart as well. He has not outsourced that job to us. Our job is simply to look inside of our own hearts and see how we can continue to remove those anarthas. So we should, treat everyone with the fullest of respect and assume and treat that everyone is more advanced than me. And that's why actually the Uttama Adhikari, right? Why the Uttama Adhikari, when they go out to preach, they actually come down to the Madhyama Adhikari platform. Because the Uttama Adhikari is so purified that they see everybody is more fallen than them. They have nobody to preach to. They have nobody to preach to because they're so humble. So actually, the role of the Guru, though they are on this highest platform, they come to this mindset of the Madhyama Adhikari so that they can see who is fallen and envious, who is on a peer and who is superior. Right? But at the purest platform, one sees himself most fallen. So we should follow in that footstep. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Any other comments or yes, Mataji? In the back. You can pass.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the wonderful class. You were speaking about making Lord's plans our plans. So sometimes we think we make the plans, the Lord's plans. How can we be sure that they're actually our Lord's plans?
Yes. So how do we know what the Lord's plan is for us? If we go ask Gauranga Mahaprabhu, what's your plan for me? I don't hear, right? So what to do? So Krishna gives us the solution for that as well. And that's why he says, Tadvini paripatena pariprashnena seva upakdeshnate ganam gyaninas tato darshinaha. What should we do? Pariprashnena sevaya. We must approach the bona fide spiritual master and inquire in a humble mood. Dear Gurudev, what is my plan? What shall I do in service? The Guru is carrying the message of Krishna, unattached. We were discussing this last night also. We think Arjuna was fortunate because Krishna was seated right there speaking to him. We have no less fortune. If we perceive a less fortune, we actually don't understand Guru Tattva. But when we approach Guru, we often go to Guru and we say, Guruji, I would like to do this, is it okay? Don't go to Guru to sanction your plan. Arjuna didn't go to Krishna and say, Krishna, can you allow me to run away from this battlefield? He said, You instruct me what's best for me. So in that same mood, we go to our spiritual master and ask them, what is best for me? And we take those instructions, we write them down, and we meditate on them. We meditate on those instructions. Sometimes we anguish that I don't get association of my guru, I don't get association of my guru. We should have association of our guru every moment. How? Through meditation on those instructions that is telling us what is our plan. So that is how we can understand Krishna's plan. Don't let our own mental concoction determine it. Then we'll end up in a ditch. Any other? Okay. Thank you very much. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Hare Krishna.